I'm Danny at Classic Performance Products. I'm going to take a moment and go over our Pro Touring style fuel tanks. These are available as a complete kit with everything you need for the install, and they're available a la carte. So you can get just the tank, and then you can get just the install components, which will be the hoses and the fittings and the fuel pumps and so on. So either way you want to get it, you can get the whole thing. In front of me, this is a 6768 Camaro. It's the aluminum raw finish, also available in black. There's a lot of unique features in our Pro Touring tanks that separate these from the mainstream fuel tank that's out there. The primary big difference you're going to find is this has a surge tank, and it's a separate tank basically in the front of the main tank body itself. The tank is designed to run with 2 fuel pumps. It can run on one. There's a small transfer hole between the surge tank and the main tank body, and that's enough that you can drive around without any problems. But if you're really doing sporting, racing type driving, you got some track time, you're going to want to run 2 pumps to keep the surge tank full at all times. The idea being you can actually run the main tank completely out of gas. You still got 1.5 gallons in your surge tank that you're racing off of, so you're not going to have any fuel star problems. These fuel pump chassis, which are going to install up here on an O-ring or in a cork gasket, they're set up to go both ways. The sending unit itself, we got a 6-bolt flange and a 5-bolt flange bolt pattern already into the tank, so it'll take either of the 2 popular style of sending units, and that's going to run just about every gauge that's out there on the market. The mounting points are designed really to pick up where the original mounting was on the chassis. There's some hardware that's going to go up onto the bottom of the trunk floor to capture the front mounts, and then the rear mounts actually go into the factory mounts for the rear of the tank. So you're really stressing the tank and the chassis where it was supposed to be for fuel, and not just drilling holes in your trunk. You'll notice there's some large cutouts on the side. This is going to give you a lot of room for exhaust. You can run large exhaust. You're not going to have any problems. We thought about giving you space for the exhaust. There's also a drain plug in the front. Being that this is a Pro Touring tank, it's probably going to see track time, and you may want to pull the tank out to do some modifications to your car. Drain plug is going to be really handy when you're doing that. These all fill at the factory location, whether that was in the Camaro up high between the taillights, or if you happen to be in a Chevelle or something behind the license plate, it's got a piece of fuel hose that's going to reconnect to your original fuel filler to make the rest of that plumb in nice. Okay, so in front of me now is a 64 to 67 Chevelle fuel tank. It's in black. This one's like 29 gallons. It's a much bigger tank. Just give you a quick moment in how we install these tanks when you're putting them in the car. So up in the front of your trunk area on the floor, you had a strap that normally came in, and this is a clean little piece that goes up. So this comes apart. You slide this black steel piece up where the strap was, set screw goes in, lock that down. Then we have these tall nuts that are going to hold the tank on. The nuts come from underneath. The tall nuts just make it much easier to get your fingers and hands around in there because you got all this obstruction with the webbing and gussets that are part of the front of that tank. Similar to the back, you've got a tall nut again. This is going to go to the factory carriage bolts that were in the back of the chassis and then bolted up from the bottom onto the tank. So the tank is captured in its original mounting location on your chassis. The Chevelles would have had a fuel filler hose. The tanks come with a hose. Standard, they come with a hose. The hose goes on the end of the tank. This is going to run up as a small bracket. It has a release to lock into a hose clamp. This comes up at the back of the license plate bracket where the filler is going to be located. It hose clamps on just to hold it into place. After that, you've got a little bung that drops into the hose. This all hose clamps on, so it's sealed. The bung is threaded, and it's going to take one of our new CPP style gas caps. These just thread on easy, but these are really cool caps. They have a trap door, so you can just put the fuel nozzle in, fill up, and go away without having to remove your gas cap. If you have one of these older Chevelles or Camaros that had the fold down license plate, let me tell you, those are a pain in the butt. This is so much better than trying to bend over, especially from my height, and hold the door down and pull your gas cap off, and then hold the gas cap on the door and then get a gas nozzle in there all at the same time. This is a really cool piece that you're going to want to do for your Chevelle. There's just some other kind of neat features about this thing. Primarily is how clean this is going to look once this is all installed in the car. We worked really hard at making these tuck up tight. There's other brands out there that drive me batty. You see this big thing hanging below the bumper of the car or below the bodywork, and to me they look so gross. This is not visible. You won't see these lines. You got to lay down on a creeper and look up to see this fuel tank. We tucked all these things up really tight. To find out more about this or any of the other tanks in our Pro Touring line, and we have many, we've covered Camaros and Chevelles and Novas, and the application list just keeps on growing. You can reach us on the web at www.classicperform.com or give us a call at 714-522-2000.